Hey folks, Nathan here. Welcome to Nate's Favorite Deck Building Games. This time we return to the Marvel Legendary game to take a look at the newest little expansion, which is Ant-Man. And I should note, for those who are curious about this, this is Ant-Man as based on the comics, not as based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. We may get that at some point in a later phase of those new Legendary sets, or maybe as a film-based small expansion, though I kind of doubt that. Spider-Man Homecoming is the only one of those so far. This is a comic-based Ant-Man expansion, and it pretty much has what you would expect, a little bit of new mechanics, and about the same amount of new material as you typically see. As per usual with one of our small expansions, just a quick little rules supplement to go with it, and then of course all of our cards. We have 4 new schemes this time around. We have Transform Commuters into Giant Ants, yeah, that would suck. Age of Ultron, not to be confused of course with the movie. Pull Earth into Medieval Times, and Trap Heroes in the Microverse. This set then gives us 2 masterminds. We have Ultron with his 4 mastermind tactics, and yes, given the era in which this is being produced, that does give us an epic mastermind version on the back. And then our other mastermind is Morgan Le Fay. We have 2 new villain groups, each with 8 cards each, as we're used to. We have the Queen's Vengeance villain group, and then we have Ultron's Legacy as a villain group. That then just leaves us with our heroes, and there are 5 of them, all of whom are of the Avengers affiliation. So, we have Black Knight, we have Wonder Man, we have Jocasta, and of course we have the 2 that you'd expect from an Ant-Man set, which are Wasp and the man himself, Ant-Man. Now we do have one returning mechanic for this set that we've seen in Civil War, we've seen in Champions. That is size changing. Again, size changing and then some symbol to represent either a type of hero or a faction of hero, depending on what it happens to be sitting back there. Basically what that means is that if this is a card you are trying to acquire, then it costs 2 less recruit if you played any cards with whatever that symbol happens to be. And likewise, if it's a villain card and it says size changing and has the symbol, then if you played any cards with that particular symbol on it, it costs 2 less attack to fight them, to take them down. Now, a counterpart to size changing that is brand new for this set, and actually really cool, I think, is Microscopic size changing. So here's a card with Microscopic size changing. Notice it has multiple symbols after it, in this case for tech heroes, right? This is risky science for Ant-Man, okay? So it has 4 of those tech symbols behind it. What that means is that if you've played a tech hero, then you get -2 on the recruit cost. But then you can do that over and over again for each up to the symbols that it shows. So for instance, in this case, it shows 4, right? So I can have -2 for the first tech hero I play, -2 for the second, -2 for the third, and -2 for the fourth. And you'll notice that's going to give me -8. It only costs 5 to start with. What does that mean? It means, and this is kind of cool because usually when you get to a 0, it's just the end of counting in games like this. Instead, that negative means that you're getting recruit points. So if I have played 4 tech heroes already, I can acquire this and wind up with a net gain of 3 recruit along with getting the card. That's pretty sweet. The same is the case if you're fighting a villain like Ultron's robotics here, Microscopic size changing, and 4 tech in this case. Okay, well, it only costs 3 attack to take him down in the first place. So the first tech hero I play is -2, brings it to 1. The next one is -2 again, brings it to -1. The next tech hero I play, -3. The next one, -5 if there was another one, if there was 4 like that one. Here it's just 3, right? So we're at -3 because I had 6 coming from this. It only costs 3, which means that not only do I take him out, I also gain 3 attack that I can use on someone else. In fact, I don't even have to have any attack to start with, because if I play tech heroes, it's going to give me enough attack to take him out. You don't need any actual attack generated to begin fighting this villain. Pretty sweet. I love the idea that for once negative actually makes a difference in the game. Another mechanic used for this set is Empowered. Basically, Empowered is going to say Empowered and then give you a symbol. And you're going to look for that symbol in the headquarters, okay? And for each of that symbol you see in the headquarters on a card, it adds +1 to your attack. There are also cards that are listed as double empowered. They give you +2 attack for each one of that symbol you see in the headquarters. It also refers in the rules to a triple empowered possibility, but that's not found on an individual card. That's more of a game situational type of thing. Now, while we're on the subject of empowered cards, there is something unusual about Ultron. We'll find that one of the other abilities, the chivalrous duel, actually plays into Morgan Le Fay. So they've got masterminds that play into some of the new mechanics of the set, which is always something that's nice to see in Legendary. But for Ultron, here we have the Master Strike, and it says each player reveals a tech hero or puts a non-gray hero from their discard pile into a threat analysis pile next to Ultron. Ultron is empowered by each color in his threat analysis pile. And as you go along, there are other instances where you're going to put stuff in that threat analysis pile, like fight, put the top 3 cards of the hero deck into Ultron's threat analysis pile, and so on, okay? So basically what this is going to mean is that for every different color card, like tech or whatever, based on the color borders and whatnot, that is sitting there next to Ultron in his threat analysis pile, you then check the headquarters, and he's going to get +1 attack for each instance of that symbol. So tech is where he's perhaps starting, most likely to get because of the Master Strike. Then for every single tech hero that's sitting there in the headquarters, he gets +1 attack. He already starts out at 9 to take him on for any of his mastermind tactics, those 4 times, and then possibly going after him otherwise, depending on how you want to play the end game. So you're in a position where this could get really ugly really fast. You got to make sure as much as possible that he doesn't wind up with a giant threat analysis pile. Another way to make Ultron already sort of a villain with grand scale in many people's minds because of Age of Ultron, the film, to make him an even more badass mastermind to have to go up against. Pretty cool. We then also have a new mechanic called Chivalrous Duel. You'll see it on some individual villain cards and whatnot. You'll see it on Morgan Le Fay. That's the main place you're going to wind up running into it over and over and over again. But the idea of Chivalrous Duel is that when you go up against that enemy, whether it's a mastermind villain or whatever, if it says Chivalrous Duel, then you can only fight them with attack that is generated by one particular named hero. Artifact heroes, or hero artifacts as they're called, can also count towards that if you have those from another set. So for instance, if I'm going after Blackbird here to knock him out for 3, it's Chivalrous Duel, which means that I could use attack generated just from Black Knight, or just from Wonder Man, just from Jocasta, but I couldn't combine, say, Black Knight and Jocasta's attack generation. All of the attack generated has to be from the same character, essentially, going up against them, because the idea is conceptually that you're giving yourselves a one-on-one chivalrous, honor-based duel between those 2 characters. Kind of cool from a conceptual standpoint, and giving something like that a game mechanic to go with it. Now, I gotta be honest, the Ant-Man characters have never been my favorite of the Marvel Comics, Marvel Ultimate Comics, or Marvel Cinematic Universe cast of characters. I've liked the films, but it's just hard for me to latch on to these characters for some reason. But I gotta say, of all the small expansions we've gotten for Legendary, this is probably my favorite. All the ideas sort of make sense from a conceptual standpoint and from a gameplay standpoint, and really bridges that gap between what you want to think is happening in terms of the battle that's going on versus what actually has to happen in the game from a gameplay mechanic standpoint. So if you're playing Legendary, I would definitely recommend Ant-Man.